Up next, we're joined by Alex Collins from Intuit with a maintainer update. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, my name's Alex Collins. I am the Argo Workflows and Events Lead Engineer, Principal Engineer, and I work at Intuit. And today I'm going to give you a maintainer update so you can find out what we've been doing. So I want to start with a retrospective or a review of 2021 and talk about some of the things that were particularly interesting from that year in the Argo Workflows and Events universe. So events had 63 contributors. They contributed 42 new features, 71 bug fixes, totaling 189 commits. We had over 4,000 monthly visitors to our documentation website, and we grew the number of stars by 30% year on year to 1,200. Workflows had 200 contributors, contributing 167 new features, over 500 bug fixes, which is nearly 1,000 commits. And that's actually one commit to master about every 8 hours. So every 8 hours, a new bug fix or feature comes into Argo Workflows. And we're actually not even at the end of the year yet. There'll be another few commits during December. We had nearly 45,000 monthly visitors to our documentation, and that's grown every single month throughout 2021, and I'm sure it will go throughout 2022 as well. We gave away nearly 500 plushies, though I have found out today that some of those plushies are actually in a garage in San Diego. So there are some more available. And we have nearly 10,000 stars for Argo Workflows. I'm really excited. I'm really hoping that Argo Workflows will grow to be 10,000 stars and more in 2021 before the end of the year. But even better, it'd be awesome if it grows to 10,000 stars during ArgoCon. So get starring if you haven't already. In Argo events, we had 3 big releases, version 1.3, version 1.4, and version 1.5. Amongst the big features that came in those big releases were high availability. Previously, if you're using certain types of event sources and sensors, we only ran one pod and one replica, which meant if that pod was disrupted, deleted for some reason, then you'd lose availability. And now you can run 2 or more replicas with Argo events. We also introduced Prometheus metrics for golden signals, which allows you to monitor things like error rates and request response times. This gives you great operational metrics for your installations. We simplified and introduced multi-arch images, allowing you to run Argo events on different systems and also easier. And there was just lots and lots of enhancements and additions to all the different software that we integrate, such as Kafka, Pulsar, etc., etc., etc. Argo Workflows had 3 big releases, including 3.0, which may even be the biggest release we've ever had. This all built on a foundation of improved performance. We find that users these days are running not just 100 node workflows, but 1,000, 10,000, and even 100,000 node workflows. Now, bear in mind, Kubernetes can only run 300,000 pods in a cluster. This is pushing the boundaries of what's actually possible with Kubernetes. We introduced tighter security with TLS and client authentication, both enabled by default out of the box. And that version 3.0 I mentioned previously, deeper integration with Argo events. New API endpoints making it easy to automate Argo events, and new user interface features, the ability to view, list, and edit both event sources and sensors, and the new event flow view, which allows you to look at an installation of Argo events in a namespace and actually see in real time its behavior and connections, making it much easier to debug it. If you've been paying attention to the Kubernetes ecosystem, you'll kind of know that Docker is going away a little bit. It's being pushed out a bit. So we introduced a new emissary executor. The emissary executor is as powerful, as fast, and as secure, or more powerful, faster, and more secure than any of the existing executors. But it also enables new features such as container set and debug pause, which I think are really exciting features coming up soon in version 3.3. We introduced 3 new template types: data template, HTTP template, and container set template. Data template makes it easier to do fan-out workflows because you can now list the contents of a bucket and then run a single task for each of those items. HTTP makes it easier to integrate with third-party systems. Previously, if you wanted to make a HTTP request in a workflow, you'd have to spin up a single pod per HTTP request. We now matrix all those requests into a single pod, making it much, much faster. This was a feature developed in collaboration with Kubeflow pipelines to enable some of the use cases they had. And container set was an exciting feature introduced in version 3.1. Container set allows you to run a set of containers rather than a single container. Because the containers all run in a single pod, they share process namespace and volumes, allowing those containers to talk to one another much more easily. Container sets are also cheaper because pods are actually quite expensive to start, and you don't have to use things like persistent volume claims to share data. 2021 was also the year of the Python SDKs. Hera Workflows is a new SDK in Argo Labs that makes it really easy and simple to write workflows. And Cooler Project has now become a popular system for writing workflows that run with Argo. I think these are both fantastic projects, and it's really great to see the ecosystem growing as a result. I'd like to take a look at 4 things I'm particularly excited about, the 4 things I'm probably most excited about for Argo workflows and Argo events in 2022. The first thing is multi-cluster support. Multi-cluster was a really big topic at KubeCon North America. We saw lots of new software applications for it, and it's the obvious progression for Argo workflows. And so it shouldn't be surprised that multi-cluster support was the most popular issue in Argo workflows, with nearly 100 thumbs up. But what is multi-cluster? So today, pods created by a workflow are created in the same cluster and same namespace as the workflow. This works because it contains that workflow within that namespace. It's great for security. Multi-cluster will allow a workflow to create pods in any cluster or namespace that the workflow has credentials for. And this is going to enable a whole bunch of new use cases. Let's look at 3 of them now. In CI/CD, it'll enable you to build and test, package an application in one cluster, gate that build with a manual approval step, then deploy into another cluster. And this will all be encapsulated within one single workflow. Previously, you needed to write scripts or some other application or integration to achieve this. Now that'll just work out of the box. Machine learning can be expensive to train your models, and people often use expensive clusters, ones rich in GPUs to do their training. But you could build a machine learning workflow that trains the model in one expensive cluster and then serves that same model in a cheap cluster. Again, all encapsulated within a single workflow with no need to write any scripts or other software to achieve that. Infrastructure automation. This will enable a hub and spoke model from automation, where the workflows that do that automation exist in one cluster, and they can reach out into other clusters to perform the specific maintenance tasks you need to do. I'm just giving these as 3 examples, but I think there'll be a whole other bunch of use cases we'll be able to do with multi-cluster. The next thing I'm excited about in 2022 is plugins. We don't have a plugin system for Argo workflows today, and I'm actually kind of more excited about plugins than multi-cluster. Let's have a little look at that. Now, one of the biggest challenges about extending Argo workflows today is it takes time. Typically, you'll have to come up with your idea, learn Golang, maybe learn React, maybe learn TypeScript, learn the Argo workflows codebase, submit a pull request, have that pull request reviewed, iterate on it. That pull request then gets merged to master until it's ready to go generally available. Now that first bit of the process can take up to 2 months. The second bit of the process from commit to GA is anywhere between 1 month and 3 or 4 months. Even when it's GA, of course, you'll now need your system administrator to upgrade your Argo workflows installation. So the whole time frame from introducing a new feature to getting into production could easily be 6 to 9 months. It's a really long period of time. And it might be that you can't even introduce that feature into Argo workflows because your company is unable to open source it, or it's based on proprietary technologies. But what if you could extend Argo workflows using only Python and HTTP, and you could write and release your plugin today? And in fact, system administrators don't need to be involved at all. The user can write and install their own plugins. Well, that's the vision for Argo workflow plugins. Let's take a little look at a plugin in detail. So this is kind of a canonical Slack plugin. This template runs and sends a Slack message. And you can see how the plugin is formed. And this particular type of plugin is called a plugin template. And there are other types of plugin, but this is just a very useful one to send a Slack message. And you can see how this leans on existing Argo workflows features such as templates and also templating system to insert the workflow name into the Slack message. How hard is it to implement a plugin, I hear you ask? I don't, you're all muted. I don't hear that at all. So this is 39 lines of code that implement the entire plugin. It's so small you can fit it onto a single slide. How hard is it to build and install a plugin? Well, it's one command to build it. That packages it into a config map and a kubectl to apply that plugin, and it gets reloaded at runtime. No need to install or deploy any new images. This is going to enable deep interoperation with a whole bunch of new systems such as Airflow, Apache, Spark, Seldon, SageMaker, and Tekton, and many other systems that people use alongside Argo workflows. It's going to enable things like notification and alerting, PagerDuty, Slack, and email, metadata and lineage tracking, which is so important in machine learning. Kubeflow pipelines worked with us to talk about the concept of short-circuit execution, where rather than creating a pod, if there's another system that actually already knows the outcome of that task, we can reach out, find the outcome, and actually short-circuit the execution. It'll enable real-time reporting to systems, so workflows can be tracked in real time. And also new features like archiving to bucket-based storage or glacial storage rather than to an expensive SQL database. Or other artifact options, such as, I don't know, you come up with it. It's a plugin system. It's open to do whatever you want to. And the reason I'm so excited about plugins is because as we developed plugins and we spoke to people about them, we came up with new ideas and new things that we could do. So for example, when we demonstrated this to Pratik a few weeks ago, he suggested Python first-class support. And it was possible to implement a basic version of Python first-class support in Argo workflows in about 90 minutes from his idea to implementing it. And if we want to do that today, we're not talking 90 minutes, we're not talking 90 days, we're talking up to 9 months. So it's a 2 orders of magnitude game-changing feature. That's why I'm so excited about it. Now, I said 4 things. The next thing I'm quite excited about is mentoring. It's pretty difficult to get started with Argo workflows if you want to become a contributor. So we're going to introduce a mentoring program that will allow you to buddy up with somebody else and get started and skill up really, really quickly. And ultimately, I'm hoping that we'll be able to go to Google Summer of Code and do mentoring there as well. That's why I'm really excited about this. This will allow us to grow the number of experienced engineers working with Argo workflows. And the final thing is hack days. So we're going to use hack days to do things like build plugins, bug bash, and do white space ideas. That's another really exciting thing. Okay, thank you very much. My name's Alex, and this has been my presentation on Argo workflows. Can I pass this back to Sarah?
Yes, you can. That was amazing. And Alex, the comments in the chat, and we've done a survey online, people are saying they want to know more about roadmap. They want to know where it's going. So please feel free to join them in the chat and continue to have that discussion. If y'all haven't filled out the survey, please go ahead and do it. And up next, we have Jesse to talk about more maintainer updates. Thank you so much.